I'm kind of inspired by things Ian Forrester at Bar Camp on 6 talking about. Let's talk about sex. And how many people here, if someone came up to you and said, I'd like you to help write a science, do some PR, or whatever it is you do, and you say, okay, that's great. And you'd say, yeah, but it's for a swinger site or for a porno site. How many of you would say, okay, yeah, I'll do that? You work for porn? Brilliant. So my case, I joined Reposted Live in the UK. Just to reiterate with quick streamers, this is personal talk, there's nothing to do with Reposted.
All they know is it's porn and you're in it.
There's going to be no... I was in an interview for a job at Reposted Live. I was being interviewed by 2 women, and they said, and it's part of it, how would you feel about working with adult media? And my brain went, I've seen a porn which starts like this. So I thought, probably not actually a porn. So, well, that's interesting. I need to talk to my family about it. And so I got the job, and this is a letter I got from my boss which said, Dear parents, I'm writing to confirm that as part of your role in content services, you may be required to work with material that is classified as inappropriate and unacceptable as defined in your terms and conditions. It is also recognised that you may not want to work with such material either now or after some exposure. In the same way, so you do not wish to work with material of this nature, please do not hesitate to raise it with your line manager and human resources. We'll discuss this with you. So, okay, so what was my job working with porn? Well, basically, sites like FHN do things like High Street Honeys and Rate My Girlfriend and Rate My Boyfriend now, where people would send in pictures of themselves or their girlfriends and boyfriends, and we had to assess them for quality control. What this means is you weren't rating them on a scale, it's not a bottom not. I'll come on to that later there. When you work in adult media, there's certain rules and laws you have to take in place. So in this country, you are not allowed to show anything sexually explicit to a minor, which generally means under 18. Now, there are some caveats around this. So, for example, the Sun can get away with showing topless women to anyone who cares to buy it because... That's a very good question. Why are they? They're allowed. But if you're showing sex acts, it cannot have more than 2 participants. We'll get on to what that means later. If you're showing a gentleman in an excited nature, you're not allowed to show an erect penis. You're allowed to show a flaccid one, what good that is, I really haven't a clue. So it just sounds fascinating. Doesn't it sound like the best job in the world? Someone says, what's your job? Well, I write porn all day. People send me porn, I look at it, and I say whether it goes up or not. I just wanted to go for a while, you know, when people said, what's your job? I said, I'm an influencer, you know, and I count porn. And it's kind of fun to start with, you know, I mean, looking at porn, you know, there's a few new people joined up. So guys, if you come in the last 5 minutes, can you put your hand up if you ever downloaded porn? You run a porn site, really? So we have a professional here, that's pretty good. But when you start to tell, you're talking down the top of it, it's fine, but when your mum says, so what did you do at work today? How many of you have told your parents that you download porn? Come on! You told your mum, okay, well, be there.
I don't want them to think it's okay to tell me if they...
There begins to be some downside. You have to keep secrets from people, and some people have a fairly negative reaction to the idea of pornography. When I started, I was kind of conflicted. I'm a feminist at heart. I'm also a man. I've also... hope you didn't catch that. And I thought this is quite interesting to me about... there's a lot of anti-porn literature out there. So Andrew Dawkins is one who is... and there's another group called JET, Women Non-Sex Objects. And lots of people have a real hatred of porn. And, you know, a close friend of mine I told her I was working with no one wants to speak to me because I work in an industry that she feels is not only immoral, but also fairly harmful. And people on the Andrew Dawkins side of things would confess to her pornography is rape. That's not something I agree with, but it's something a lot of people hold their heart. That when you're watching pornography, you're watching a woman or a man being sexually abused. And it's very hard to start a conversation by saying, oh, porn, it's funny, and you guys don't seem to be laughing much now, which is interesting because we're still talking about the same thing, talking about watching people fucking, or, articulating shots of someone. But there's a whole load of literature here which you take a look at. There's lots of studies which say that porn, really not so harmful. And lots of writing which says, what, we've got to be careful with this. We have to regulate it in some way to make sure that it is not, as you define it, harmful to minors. I'm guessing that most of the guys here were 16 at one point and no doubt stole or borrowed a brother's magazine. But somehow on the online space, we tend to treat things a little differently. We hide behind paywalls, we hide behind age verification, all sorts of things to make sure that we are not caught in a trap where all of a sudden, and this is the big fear that anyone who runs a social networking site which deals with any of this adult material has, is that one day the Sun, the Daily Mail, is going to have a headline which says, Service XYZ exposes your children to sick internet films. And so part of this job that I was doing was saying, okay, is this content suitable for an under 18 market? So if it's a Sun glamour shot, it's fine. If it's a guy glamour shot from the waist up, that's fine. Anything harder than that has to go behind age verification. So I want to get on to this. Interests me in a philosophical sense. We had for a while we weren't showing any nipples, male or female, unless you could prove that you are under 18, over 18. Which is crazy because I'm guessing most of us probably had a very close relationship with our mother's nipples when we were sort of 0 to 6 years old. 6 months old, yeah. So I got a call in the middle of the night from my boss saying you have to take down the porn section for Vodafone Live, the pre-watershed stuff, because there's a woman with nipples out. I was mortified because we check every pitch very, very carefully, appreciating detail. And indeed, this is. Anyone gets turned on by this guy, speak up. There's a woman, this is what a woman looks like. With her nipples out. Shit, this is a problem because we have, I can see the headlines in the Sun, guaranteed and, exposed filth to your kids. However, when it's a nipple, not a nipple, this is an image which was scaled down to appear on a mobile phone screen. And we got the images in full resolution. So what we actually saw was a woman wearing a bikini with a little heart on it. Look at that. Perfectly innocent. There's nothing rude, you can't see anything, nothing more than you see on the beach anywhere. But once it's scaled down, it looks like it's porn. Is something that looks like it's porn actually porn? Hands up if you think that would be inappropriate to show to a child or someone under 18. Maybe. Yeah. So that's like a fair point, yeah?
What about hentai and animated?
So animated stuff comes under a whole separate category. Moving on to the next big sphere that you've got to have if you're doing anything with adult material is the dreaded, what used to be called child pornography, which now is images of child sexual abuse. I'm kind of hoping that no one here, thinks it's a good idea to show people images of sexual abuse of anyone, let alone children. But here the rules become slightly fuzzy again. So we had an image of a woman doing a topless shot that her boyfriend, partner, someone had snapped, and covering her. Someone give me a euphemism. Her euphemism was a Mickey Mouse toy. She was doing a cheeky shot like that, holding Mickey Mouse in front of her dirty lady face. Is that, I can't call it dirty lady face. If you know a better, more politically correct, I'm really open to hear it.
Actually, at that point, I'd be far more sure I was Disney.
So yeah, anything which could. Yeah. So this isn't an image of a child being abused, but this is something that might entice a child to start looking at it, or to be used to entice a child into a situation that could potentially be dangerous. Look, it's fine, Mickey Mouse does it, stuff like that. Maybe that's a bit crazy. That's what our rules started to say. There was a shot of a chap doing a nice big beefcake pose like that, just from the waist up, perfectly fine. In the corner was a child watching TV, just caught in the corner of the frame. That's not an image of child sexual abuse, but that's problematic because you're now putting a child in a sexualized situation. So we just crop the kid out and follow it. They have to be practical about some of these things. There are some, I don't want to get too far down the child pornography route, but this is a question to the guys really. You ever been in a club, started dancing with a girl, maybe stopped out? How do you know that she's actually over 18 in that club? You kind of rely on the doorman to check the ID, but I guess we all know that doesn't always happen. And yes, it's incumbent on anyone getting into a sexual relationship to check their partner's age, consent, and whether they're disease-free, hopefully, or going to wear a condom. But with images that you get sent in, you have no idea of who the person is who is in these images or who's taking them. So, how many of you are aware of sexting? Hands up. So sexting, for the three of you pretending not to know, is when you take your phone and put a sex photo like this. You take a photo and you send it to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, just give them a bit of a cheap thrill, It's pretty cool, Unfortunately, it stops being cool when 13-year-olds start doing it and sending it around. All of a sudden, they're distributing child pornography. They're distributing pornography of themselves, which they have created, but it's child porn nonetheless. And at some stage, that may get forwarded to your service. And at some stage, you may have, has anyone been split up with a boyfriend or a girlfriend? Ever? So you've taken a sex photo of yourself, you send it, and there's a bug, you break up with him because he's a real bastard, and he sends it into FHM for a laugh, so that everyone can rate my girlfriend. All of a sudden, your body is flashed across pages of FHM or Playboy or Playgirl or anything else, and it can be very uncomfortable for you as the subject, but also as a moderator, you have no idea of the provenance of that photo. You don't know whether the subject is willing. Maybe it's a shot that someone's taken cheekily, someone's getting changed. Maybe it's a shot that was not meant for public distribution. Maybe the person in the shot isn't over 18. Hands up anyone who thinks they can confidently tell the difference between a naked 17-year-old girl, 17-year-old boy, and an 18-year-old man or woman. No one? You really can't tell?
Don't forget to tell the difference between a man and a woman.
Well, the man and the woman really love each other. But this is it. When you see a picture of a topless woman, how can you tell? Maybe you can probably tell if she's well underage, may not be that developed, and a naked guy, body hair and everything else, but it's tricky. And if you're starting to get into this area, you're running social media sites and you're inviting photos in, you have to be absolutely careful. You need to understand exactly what the laws are. You need to be able to trace the photo back to who sent it in. So if it turns out that it is an illegal image, that you can, report the person. But unfortunately, the law is very clear on the matter. If you have an illegal image on your hard drive, whether you intended it or not, you're guilty of possessing child pornography. Who here thinks that that's going to lead to just a slap on the wrist? The best case scenario for having child pornography and being discovered is your local paper says, pervert of number 27 whatever street was caught and was sent to court. Maybe you get off, but you're now in the paper and on Google as the guy with child porn or girl with child porn. Worst case scenario, your personal sex offenders register for life and good luck getting a job or a date forever. You need to be very, very careful about these things. I'm going to come on to a couple of funny stories now, just to lighten the mood. So, I talked earlier about the number of participants. There are various rules which codify, when you're showing material, how many participants you can have in a sex act. Now, up until I was very old, I thought it was just 2. Who knew you can have more than 2 people have fun? So, I was watching a video at work. 2 people have the time of their life, all good, and in wanders the cameraman from another angle. Spots the first cameraman and wanders out. Apparently he counts as a 3rd participant. I don't know what he was doing, he didn't seem to be engaging, but you need to check the rules and understand that a lot of this is not a matter of logic. It's not a matter of writing down the sex rituals and ticking it off. It's heart as well as head, as well as, you know, other bits of your body that you might start thinking. You need to understand, when you see something that is problematic, is it just problematic for you, or is it generally problematic? So, here's another question. How many people here are gay? A couple of people, okay. Do you mind if I ask, do you like looking at heterosexual porn? Doesn't bother you? Doesn't do anything for you? No? The heterosexuals here and bisexuals, I guess. How many of you like looking at porn designed for the other sexuality? I mean, you don't really enjoy it. No, probably not, because if you really enjoyed it, you'd probably be gay or heterosexual. So, all of a sudden, you know, what started off was quite a fun job for me looking at tits from SHM all day becomes, I'm now going to watch two guys suck each other off for half an hour. And, you know, hey, good to be gay, great. I'm not gay, and gay porn doesn't do anything for me. I know a lot of people who are virulently turned off by it. I think it's polite to say, you know, people who have a very strong negative reaction to homosexuality and bisexuality. And if you start employing people to check porn, it's not an easy question to ask in HR. If we show you gay porn, are you going to storm out of the building and start swearing at us and, you know, what I think? We had a team in Vodafone, and I'm not representing Vodafone, so you're aware. You know, of people who we would, you know, we get porn in and, you know, you do A through C and I'll do C through D and so on and so forth. And inevitably you would end up with porn which either you found personally distasteful, whether it was just something you went into, and certainly one person was very upset at the idea that they had to, you know, look at gay porn. Hence where this letter comes in, which is if at any time you don't want to do this, you can stop. And you need HR policies in place, because if people are going to, people get very kept up about sexuality. It's a very important part of their being, their nature, and, you know, sometimes when you, I'm trying to say rub them up the wrong way, but without sounding too, it can have a bad reaction. And it's something that a lot of porn books talk about as well, which is, why is it that guys generally seem quite alright with heterosexual porn and lesbian porn, but all of a sudden gay porn, that's not the problem.
Yeah, a lot of research that actually very many homophobic men were actually being tested for sexual responses.
That's a filthy lie! It's true, there's research showing that. I wouldn't like to start aspersions on anyone I work with, being positive or otherwise. So, I'm going to throw these questions in just one second, but I want to talk about a personal aspect of this. So I've already said, you know, I lost a good friend because she really believed that what I was doing was wrong, and not just, you know, you worked at the time, that's wrong, but she really deeply believed what I was doing was evil. And that's quite hard when someone who you know and you like and respect has a very negative reaction to your job. But there are other things with this. If you're in an office, an open plan office, like lots of people are, and someone walks past your desk and they notice that you're looking at porn, that can be a bit uncomfortable. If you are looking at porn and you have a natural biological response, and someone says, can you come to this meeting? That can be slightly uncomfortable. If you've been looking at porn all day and you get home and you're feeling a bit frisky and your other half comes in and they've had a crap day and all they want is a glass of wine and Sex in the City and while they feeling, you know, turned on and happy about this relationship, well, you've been looking at porn all day, they've been working really hard. It's something that can put a strain, you know, on your professional life. There's people who don't realise what you do for a living, walk past your desk and see that you're goofing off at work looking at porn, and you know, your friends and your family now feel really uncomfortable about what you do, and you get home and you're just not in the same headspace as your partner. It's one of these things. I don't do it anymore. I don't miss it because I know that it hurt me a great deal, but you know, it does make things a bit easier when I say, what do I do for a living? You know, I do mobile internet, web design. I don't need to pull out books like Marvel's Miners and pornography and feminism and cornucopia and justify what I do. So, you know, it can be really, really hard. So, it is a giggle to start with, but there's a lot of pitfalls, especially around adult content shown to minors in sexual positions and, you know, just in your personal life. So, that's just me sharing my story, and You know what, I'd like to take the questions while we have 7 minutes exactly. Question there from Kathy.
And have you told any, like, female relatively older, like older aunts or anything like that?
No, I wasn't going to tell my mum, or my parents at all, but it kind of slipped out because I was making a joke about something that I'd done that day, and it's sort of, we get things like FHN, and I kept it fairly generic because very few people want to talk to their parents about that kind of thing. But no, I don't think I ever told a maiden aunt about it, and I probably wouldn't to spare their embarrassment as much as mine. People have all sorts of funny reactions, or some are very pro it, some are against it, some are afraid of it. It's it's funny. I feel very weird actually telling all of you. But there we go. Question there.
Surely you were full of speaking in a separate office with booze or something.
I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, that's a smart idea, Chris.
There's a problem at the moment with the BBFC, British Board of Film Classification, who rate the movies you see in this country, most of them, where they have to rate porn, and they have to give it, either 15 and 18 an X, or restricted 18, or just cut it all together and say, not having this. And as part of an efficiency drive, they're saying that assessors have to watch the film solo. Previously, everyone watched any film in tandem so they could compare notes. Anyone here work from home? Yeah?
A little bit.
Anyone being sat at home and thought, no one around? They got to do some work. It must be incredibly uncomfortable to tell your work colleagues, I'm going to the booth for an hour and a half and come out looking a bit flustered because the air conditioning's not working, and then the thing. We did try to be sensible about it when our desks faced a certain way, but people walk behind you. We did consider telling off the booth, but that just became a bit weird because all of a sudden now you've got 4 or 5 people sat very, very close together, all watching different porn and listening to it as well. And there are ways around it. It's true, and it's probably easier if you're in a smaller office. I mean, in an office with a couple of thousand people, it's just not practical all the time. But there are ways around it. Yes, the question from Right,
You actually have the reverse situation where your boss goes, I know this student comes in looking at porn.
So we have posters to meet, in the sense that, take a random example, Visit, who do actual adult media, would say, we've got 50 videos which we want to put up on the site. Can you content check them first? Please say, yeah, that's fine. And occasionally you get around to it because you have other work to do. And so an email comes saying, we noticed that our videos haven't been assessed properly. And that's, again, a little weird conversation. Because you can't watch these things in a hurry. You can try to put them on fast forward, and then you also have to listen to them. Because, if someone in a porn or whatever says, but I'm only 16, well, that's that. Even if, she's an 87-year-old granny and she says that, that's out straight away. So it's something that you need your full and undivided concentration on. Because if you don't spot something like, when hearts, on a bikini are shrunk down, they look like nipples, you're kind of probably Ben.
I did not check recognize closing my hat.
You now have to ask the person because I've called on you.
Well, I was actually going to ask you a question about the amount of time. I think you had to do like 8 hours a day every day.
I think it probably would be funny if it was 8 hours a day every day. And so Vodafone Live at the time, and still does music, ringtones, games, go buy the games because they're awesome. And porn as well. And it was just one part of it. So it would kind of depend on the volume of content that we're being sent through. So if FHN or Nuts Magazine were doing Rate My Boyfriend, Rate My Girlfriend promotion that week, all of a sudden we would get a lot of content in. And there were times when you would spend half the day just clicking next on Windows Image Preview saying, fine, fine, fine. No, that has to go because there's a chair there, or because this person is blatantly under 18, or whatever. So it really is very. And
also, if you have the age, if the law doesn't care, doesn't that make you illegal at that point?
Yes. Now, for stuff that was the rate my girlfriend, rate my boyfriend, that was closed shops. They're no different than a catalogue or anything else. However, we did
they just in closed shops. Closed shops.
Yeah. But if we received anything which we were absolutely convinced was images of child sexual abuse, the rules were very clear. You switch off your monitor, not your computer. You dial the red number on your phone, and you get someone from the internal fraud and legal department, and you say, I think I've got an image of child sexual abuse on my computer. Please can you come and take the computer into custody? Now, I'm standing in vote by the don't quote me on this. They had a set of people who were qualified by the police to do forensic investigations and stuff like that. And there was a very high level of indemnity. But if you're running a small social media website, you've got to, not just triple check, but quadruple check with your lawyers exactly what your responsibility is. Because at some point, there will be an image which will land on your inbox, in your computer, which could get you into a lot of trouble. Yeah.
So what about Facebook? How do you think they deal with this?
They operate a takedown policy as well. So if someone, you can report an image as being illegal. However, the law in this country, if you were just surfing your friend's Facebook page and they had some child abuse images on there, you're guilty of downloading child abuse. There's no two ways about it. And I've heard stories of people who go to the police and say, I think I've downloaded it. It's just on Facebook, and they've been told, delete it, never do it again, don't talk to us about it, because otherwise we have to arrest you. Facebook
would be
is under US law, which has different things about freedom of speech and this and the other. If they were over here, they would probably be able to get away with user-generated content. We will take it down as soon as we know, and we will tell you not only who uploaded it, but where they were, when they were, their whole history, and who looked at it as well. It's one of these things that you need to consult not just lawyers, but police and specialist people. There's a whole separate issue with the IWS, which I know raises the hackles of some people here, so I'm not specifically going to get into that. I'm desperate for it. Any more questions? So, yes.
What do they do about hiring? Because you can't actually ask.
No. If I had said in the interview, actually, I don't feel comfortable with that, no problem.
Right.
Now, you might get into a situation where your entire team says, you know what, we're weirded out by this too much, and then you're going to have a problem. But as with any of these things, you need to be sensible about it. You need to make sure that, if necessary, counselling is available, or that everyone knows that it's a safe environment, and if I say, I'm sorry, I just do not want to look at this anymore. And the thing which helped me the most, it's possibly because of the sort of person I am, was this, this is a small selection of my library, which when I say, I have pornographic books, I mean books about pornography, not, pictures and stuff. And it's very interesting reading about the legal effects. So there's pornography, this is Longford Committee report, which is a UK report, which is similar to, I can't remember the name of the report, on homosexuality. It's the government commission which said, should we decriminalise homosexuality over the age of 10, this, that and the other. And this was a similar sort of committee, but looking at porn, what is porn? Is it really harmful? How should we rate it? What should we do with it? And the whole slew of those ideas of the line looking at whether it really is harmful to kids to look at adult material. And the consensus is, it probably isn't. Images of child abuse society, kids, discover sexuality from when they're in the womb, basically. And it's something that grows and develops until they hit puberty, when all of a sudden hell breaks loose. But there's not much you can do to stop a horny 14-year-old boy getting on porn. It's just not possible. Short of chaining them up without getting them on separate, there's a lot of fetishes. I also found that if anyone's very interested in this, Andrew Dworkin is, I think it's probably fair to say, a militant feminist. She's sadly dead now, but she has an awful lot. The question is not, does pornography cause violence against women? Pornography is violence against women. Violence which pervades and distorts every aspect of our culture. So when you see a billboard up with, a supermodel brushing her teeth, but, in a nightdress, that's pornography. That's using sex to sell you something. And Andrew Dworkin, and I guess possibly myself, I also argue that that's an inappropriate use of a person, but it's something that society tolerates. And reading through this, it becomes very interesting what society has called pornography at a time that we wouldn't now, and it'd be very interesting to see in a few years. So I think, there's coffee downstairs. I'm happy to continue this discussion with anyone who wants, and feel free to join. So until the next social media camp, I think, and thank you very much for listening.